Frame perspective in cinema is a way to convey depth of space, volume, and spatial relationships within a single flat frame on screen. Essentially, it's how distances between objects are organized in a frame, how the viewer feels at the depth of the scene. In filmmaking, frame perspective is one of the most important tools for composition and emotional impact. I want to make this video more profound, and I want to refer to real films. The perspective of the frame is a kind of part of the artistic component of the film, and it is important to understand this from the very beginning. Each film has its own artistic value and concept, and I can notice this every time I watch a movie. Linear perspective is a very powerful tool for creating a sense of fate, order, claustrophobia, or inevitability. The Shining, 1980, Stanley Kubrick. Overlook hotel corridors. Danny rides his tricycle down the hallway. All lines of walls, carpet, doors converge toward the center of the frame. Vanishing point. Effect. Feeling of a trap. Predestination. Endless repetition. For me, the artistic component of the movie The Shining is really something truly unique. Stanley Kubrick is one of the greatest filmmakers ever, and I'd like to discuss some of his choices and where those ideas originally came from. Incidentally, filmmaker Stanley Kubrick started as a photographer for Look magazine, a very popular lifestyle publication back then. He began as an intern, then became a staff photographer. He was only 17-18 years old when he started shooting reportage, portraits, street scenes, and already showed an incredible sense of composition, light, and framing. Around the 1950s, Kubrick became passionate about cinema. He studied everything on his own, read books, talked to lab, rented equipment. His first film was the short documentary Day of the Fight about a boxer preparing for a fight. He shot it almost with his own money, serving as cinematographer, editor, and sound operator himself. The film sold well for a beginner. So we can see how this influenced Stanley Kubrick's later work and his framing decisions. For example, in Barry Lyndon, Kubrick wanted nighttime castle scenes to look exactly like the 18th century. Only candlelight, no modern lamps, but in 1975, regular cameras saw nothing in that darkness. The frame would be pitch black. In the end, Stanley Kubrick found the rarest and fastest lens in the world, which captured several times more light than standard cinema lenses. Only 10 of these lenses were made, especially for NASA to shoot the dark side of the moon. Kubrick bought 3 of them. With them, the camera could finally see by the light of 20 to 50 candles in a frame. The light turned out soft, warm, golden, just like in old paintings of that era. But let's get back to linear perspective. 7. 1995, directed by David Fincher. There is so many things you can say during the right perspective, of the right frame. And sometimes it feels like you can find right frame and right perspective of the frame, of the scenes. It's so important. Sometimes it's like the main themes of the all set. Many interior scenes in a rainy city, receding lines of streets, police station corridors, effect, feeling of pressure, inevitability of sin, and punishment. Linear perspective in cinema is one of the most powerful tools for creating the illusion of depth and volume on a flat screen. It's based on the same principle as in Renaissance painting. Parallel lines receding into depth visually converge at one point or several points. Deep depth of field and deep focus. Everything in focus from foreground to background. It emphasizes layers of reality, connections between planes of an irony or tragedy. Citizen Kane, 1941, Orson Welles. Classic example, the childhood scene of Kane. The boy plays in the snow in the background while adults decide his fate in the foreground. Everything sharp, effect. The viewer sees past and present, simultaneously the loss of freedom. The rules of the game, Jean Renoir. Deep compositions in a mansion. Characters on different planes interact at the same time. Effect, social satire, all layers of society visible at once. Let's now look at Terrence Malick's Thin Red Line. Many jungle scenes, soldiers in the foreground, nature and the enemy in the background, all in focus. Effect, man as a tiny part of a vast, indifferent world. I think The Thin Red Line is a masterpiece. This film balances between the early and late Terrence Malick. I would say this was the moment when there was a golden mean of creativity style. You know, it was a real balance, and perspective plays a huge role in this film. Now let's talk about strong wide angle perspective. Creates pressure, madness, vulnerability, aggression. Now let's take a look at the movie The Graduate of 1967. Final charge scene. Ben runs to a lane shot with the telephoto lens. The distance looks enormous yet compressed. Effect, desperate attempt to overcome barriers. Returning to Terrence Malick, I would cite the film Days of Heaven 1978 as an example. Many landscapes and figures against the sky are shot with a telephoto lens, and as a result, nature and people seem to merge. This creates a kind of poetic quality and a sense of unity with the world. By the way, an interesting fact about the filming of Days of Heaven 1978 by Terrence Malick, one of the most beautiful and difficult to produce films in cinema history. Almost the entire film was shot during the so-called magic hour, about 20 to 30 minutes after sunset, sometimes before sunrise, when the light is soft, golden, coming from nowhere with almost no shadows. This created the famous fairy tale atmosphere, but made shooting extremely difficult. Only a few minutes of footage per day, and actors and crew had to be perfect from the first or second take. Despite all the difficulties and near catastrophic production, the film won an Oscar for Best Cinematography and is still considered one of the benchmarks for working with natural light in cinema. Now let's talk about aerial, atmospheric perspective. This can be clearly seen in Andrei Tarkovsky's films Stalker, Mirror, Nostalghia. Haze, rain, mist over the water, blurred distant plains, everything looks like a memory or a dream. We literally feel a kind of dreamlike state and a spiritual surge. In these movies we can see how the perspective of the frame creates artistic unique value. This is so important when we talk about artistic value. This is what it means. Frame, perspective in cinema. Unlike painting or photography, in cinema perspective works dynamically. It changes with camera movement, character movement, focus pulls, and editing. Frame perspective is the viewpoint and distance from which the camera shows the scene and characters. It affects The sense of depth, scale, closeness to the hero, and even our attitude toward him. Perspective isn't just about beauty. It serves meaning. Perspective controls the viewer's emotions, shows power, fear, loneliness, intimacy. Frame perspective tells us who to sympathize with, who to fear, and sets the mood of the scene without words. It's probably worth saying that there are a huge number of techniques and applications for these methods. Every film is a whole world, and every world is built through people. We love many films precisely for their artistic component. We love many films not for what they're about, but for how they tell the story. And cinematography is incredibly important in that. Literally irreplaceable. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe to the channel. See you in other videos.